So another way that we can look at KENAZ is through its function in magic. So the runes can be explored in several different ways. They can be studied as esoteric principles of wisdom. They can be used in divination so that we can look into the web of weird. And one of their most traditional uses was as magic sigils or talismans. So the shape itself is endowed with shamanic abilities or magical functions that are aided through the shape. And of course, what that shape represents. KENAZ is the torch. If we think of other traditions, for example, in Greece, of course, another age of Greece, but Hecate, goddess of the crossroads and of the underworld, one of her symbols is a torch. Now, though that's a separate tradition, I'm simply tying in the idea that torches are associated with the underworld and with the walk through the underworld. The torch is the thing that the shaman carries in to the underworld. So that he may see, collect information and knowledge, while maintaining the spark of the living. The torch allows the living to walk underneath the earth. So in the Nordic tradition, we come from a shamanic tradition. And in our cosmology, with Yggdrasil, the world tree in the center, there are many realms. Hell, Hel, is one of these realms. The pre-Christian hell was a region underneath the earth. Quite simply, hell is a region underneath the earth. In many shamanic traditions, called the lower world or underworld, usually associated with the world of the ancestors. In Nordic tradition, we are able to travel into these realms through a process of journeying, astral journeying, spiritual journeying, exploration of the worlds. KENAZ. may be associated with the sigil that helps one travel into those realms. If you even look at the symbol, the sideways V, it starts as the point and then it opens. This is the point of concentration of the astral self that must be perceptive to then journey into the unknown. So KENAZ is associated with journeys into the unknown. Whether that be esoteric and occultic wisdom through study, or esoteric and occultic wisdom through a walking through the worlds. So KENAZ is a doorway into those worlds. By an individual who has the inner clarity to gain information from those journeys and bring it back to their communities, which as we remember is part of the archetype of KENAZ, the ability not only to gain information, but to be able to transmit that information to your community. So KENAZ can be used to both aid us on the journey into the other worlds, with the torch in our hand, returning back to Midgard with the torch in our hand, and transmitting what we have seen. I have a piece that I wrote, and it's called The Origins of Storytelling. And yes, I would like to share it with you now. One of my primary passions, purposes is as a writer and a poet, and that's how I transmit the knowledge that I have learned. That is one of the ways. So I'd like to read you this quote that ties into KENAZ as a magical aid for shamans. In the traditions of my ancestors, storytellers were shamans. They stepped into the unknown and somehow found a way to make mystery comprehensible. They weaved beautiful myths in the loving attempt to honor the intelligence of creation. They spoke of gods and spirits as our distant relatives, to remind us of our origins, and to reassure us that we are the branches of a very old tree. Because in these realms that we travel to is our history, are the spirits and the gods that are related to us, but that we might have to step a little bit outside of ordinary reality in order to communicate with. One of the primary functions of a shaman is to be able to step out of ordinary reality, to gain knowledge and information that is crucial to the sustainability of the community. So KENAZ is associated with that ability to journey and that ability to transmit information. KENAZ is associated with the light that does not go out. It is associated with death, with the deceased. In many Nordic funeral rituals, the element of fire is associated. I believe there are some traditions where, perhaps from the Viking age, where the body is put in a boat, a sacred vessel of our ancestors, and of the primordial sea, which we all come from, and the boat is set alight. And you watch the boat going across the water, like a flame, like a light. And that light is allowing the spirit and the soul within that body to have the light to go on to their next journey, to whichever realm of the afterlife they go into, because there are many realms of the afterlife. In Nordic cosmology, there are many places to go after death. So it is the light that does not die. It is the light that leads us through the darkness. And we honor the departed by taking their light as some of ours, and by keeping it here in Midgard when they are gone, and it becomes a bridge. We are a bridge to these other worlds. And KENAZ is associated with the Rainbow Bridge and with Heimdall. KENAZ connects the realms of the living and the dead, of the gods and the living, of nature and the living, child to elder. Runes come to us magically. And when they come into our lives, they're often associated with our navigation of the weird at that point in time. And the weird is the web. When KENAZ came to me, several things occurred related to this room. And I'd like to share them with you in sacredness. The first was the day that I drew KENAZ from, I have a bunch of beads, and they all have a rune on them. And so sometimes I will draw one for my day and put it in my braid. Right now I'm wearing KENAZ here, KENAZ here. And so this bead came to me. Shortly thereafter, or perhaps it was before, time is not linear, but that same day, a friend messaged me and she said, you were in my dream last night. And I strongly encourage everyone who sees important messages in their dream, if they involve additional characters in your life, I strongly suggest that you transmit that dream to them, because the dream, you may have dreamt it for them, to give them, right? We always have to give back. When we are gifted, we give. So she told me, she approached me in the dream, and I was in a room of darkness. And I was at a table, crafting light. She told me that I was crafting light like a scientist, and that I was very concentrated and very pensive. It made me think of weaving light. In a room full of darkness, I was trying to keep this light on. And at first, because of the environment, she was concerned that maybe in my life I was going through a period of darkness and was fumbling with being able to be okay in that moment. So she asked me, are you doing okay? And I replied that I was, but that I was very concentrated on weaving this light. So I thought that was beautiful towards how it relates to KENAZ. KENAZ as the person at the study table, trying to illuminate a world of darkness, a world of the unknown, through the study of wisdom, through the careful study and weaving and development of wisdom. So runes can come to us and and initiate us in different ways. And maybe that's why you find yourself here in this video today. Maybe KENAZ came to you. Or maybe this is the format in which it is coming to you. The second story is more sad. And if we can hold space in this, not in fear, but in reverence. The day that I just realized that. The day that I wrote these notes for this video, I spent the whole day at the cafe studying and writing these notes. When I came home that day, I received a message, a very heartbreaking message. 3 weeks prior to that day, my friend lost his life. And I had just heard about it. And it's interesting how you don't know if someone's living or dead when you're not sure what they're doing at that moment, or because I felt that thought he was still with us, right? Found out 3 weeks later after he passed. But I know that the teaching is that he is still with us. He is still with us. And KENAZ takes us into that journey of the afterlife while preserving our spirits, because the fire, the flame, is elementally associated with the spirit. So I knew, now though he's on the other side of a bridge, there's still a bridge. And that's one of the most important teachings of KENAZ, is that there is a bridge into the past. There is a bridge into the underworlds, into the other worlds. And we are the other part of that bridge. And wisdom and knowing and messages can come to us from those other realms. And it is part of our beautiful responsibility to share the light we have received from those many places. In the darkness, it is we who must be as lanterns. KENAZ allows us to speak with one another. It allows us to learn from one another. It allows us to warm each other's hearts and souls. And it allows us to keep alive the flame of who we are as humans, as a culture, as a planet. The fire connects us back to our earliest origins and our earliest ancestors. And the fire leads us forward into the future. There's some traditional, I saw it quoted as a traditional Viking prayer, and I'd like to share it with you. As the torch allows us to see this. And it goes, "Lo, there do I see my father. Lo, there do I see my mother, my sisters, and my brothers. Lo, there do I see the line of my people, all the way back to the beginning. Lo, they do call to me. They bid me to join them in the halls of Valhalla, where the brave may live forever." And that ancestral prayer reminds us who stands behind us and how the wisdom is passed down generation after generation, and how we stay alive through our souls being lit generation after generation. Thank you for taking this time with me to explore KENAZ, to walk through the cave with me. Yes. My name is Kamora Sidra, and I'm following this light, this torch that's trying to come through me. And this channel, the forbidden gospel, is going to walk us through those dark libraries and take some book off the shelf and get our wisdom back. Spiritual wisdom that historically has been forbidden and censored. Now we're coming back. Now we're telling those stories.